It's the Hot Stove presented by the Cup of Mets podcast. I'm Ian Bosniak, joined alongside by Robert Venegas, as always. Before we get going, remember to give us a follow on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok. We are at Cup of Mets. Also, be sure to subscribe to the podcast, whether you're listening on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Lastly, be sure to use code Cup of Mets on SeatGeek to
Yes,
get
sir.
whether it be sporting events, concerts. Punch in that code, get $20 off your first purchase on SeatGeek, and away we go. Episode 16. Let's do it. Robbie, how you doing, my friend?
Pretty good, Ian. I mean, again, one more day till February break for us, so that's always good. And at the same time, I went to go get my haircut, and my barber's sick, and I got there, 30-minute drive. But hey, that's the type of week we're having. We're trying to make positive out of a negative. But
Yep.
at the end of the day, one day closer to Mets baseball.
Yes, sir. Yeah, dude, we're almost there. We're almost there. I mean,
Literally.
obviously, pitchers and catchers have reported the full squad workout. The first one will be early next week, I believe. And as you mentioned, yeah, we're closing in, you and I, on a little break, and we'll have about two more episodes of the Hot Stove coming at you following today's episode, and then that will wrap up the Hot Stove season, and then away we go into season 3 of the Cup of Mets podcast. A few notes here, obviously, again, as we mentioned, or as I mentioned, pitchers and catchers have reported. Edwin Diazs feels 100%, is throwing bullpen sessions. You love to see it. He says that his leg is strong as anything. And he looks it in some of those videos, man. He obviously we have to see him against some live batting, but it's great to see Sugar back out there on the mound.
No, definitely. I mean, again, the fact that he's even saying he's 100% is a plus plus. Seeing him throw off the mound is a plus plus. And again, he was one of the first guys, I believe, to report to Port St Lucie, which is also another plus plus. I think in general, it's just good to have a guy like Sugar back in the locker room, back in Port St Lucie with the team, and again, hopefully nothing but big things. Hopefully for Sugar and the Mets in 2024.
Absolutely. And that bullpen, I mean, we've touched upon it recently over the last two episodes, but the additions of Diekman along with Fujinami, you look how deep the bullpen is. You have a Michael Tonk and a Jorge Lopez, who we hope that bounces back. Drew Smith, we hope can keep the ball in the ballpark. Adam Ottavino returned. Brooks Raley, the bullpen is something that I think that, you and I mentioned we're pretty excited about. And Matt and I mentioned last episode that we definitely are. So it's really nice to have that anchor at the back end of the bullpen in Edwin Diaz back. I'm just wondering what type of season he's going to put up. You know what I mean? Like, is it going to be something along the lines of what we obviously 2022 is unprecedented, but are we going to see something as dominant and as filthy as he was in 2022? Or
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I mean, again, he's projected to pitch in 64 games this year, according to Fangraphs. So that's always a good sign.
yeah, what are his figures there on Fangraphs?
So again, 64 games projected in 64 innings, 38% K rate,
Okay.
a 2.7 ERA, and worth 2.2 WAR.
What
Doesn't
about
say
his
how many
fit?
saves for
Did it
some
say,
reason.
did it say fit?
Oh, here we go. Fit. Boz loves the stat fit. 229.
Oh, dude,
Yeah.
that's better than his ERA. That screen
64 saves. Or 35 saves, excuse me. Sorry.
64 saves.
No,
Yeah,
no, no, no. 64 games. My bad.
what are we
35
doing?
saves.
The record?
That'd be funny. But no, listen, again, I just want to see how he is on the mound, period. Again, missing a whole year obviously hurt us. And you see how much the Mets need him, especially last year. But the year before that in 2022, historic, 62 innings pitched, 32 saves, and he was legit unhittable. So I'm not
ERA
gonna
was like 1.31, right?
yeah, 1.31. But again, I'm not trying to say he's gonna repeat that type of season. It's very hard to do, but if he's not around that unhittableness again, then maybe we raise our eyebrows in concern. But again, I really think he's gonna be around that 2 to 2.5 ERA. And again, hopefully 30 plus saves. So
Did you just create a word? Unhittableness?
yeah, yeah.
I
That's how
love that.
it's been a while
Y- You
and it's
know
been
what?
a tough week.
That's a good Instagram post. Unhittableness.
Unhittableness.
unhittabiliness. Yeah, we'll have to go back over that. Yeah.
Definitely.
With that, yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with what you said. Definitely tough to repeat that type of success, but anything close to that, and I think the Mets bullpen is looking good, and especially if the pieces around them, as I mentioned before, some of them can bounce back, and it could end up being a pretty deep and solid pen. Other notes when it comes to spring training, Brett Baty looks bigger, looks thicker, looks stronger. What are
Yeah.
your expectations from Brett Baty now that we're recognizing, hey, he is that starting third baseman going into the 2024 season. Obviously, what have you seen so far in camp? But then also, what are your, again, expectations going into the year?
I mean, listen, I would love Brett Beatty to be that guy that we all expect to like fill David Wright's shoes, but unfortunately, that probably will not happen. But at the end of the day, I think if we get a solid 15 to 18 home runs out of him in like 400 or so plate appearances, then I'd be comfortable jogging him out there every 6, 7 days a week. My only concern is the glove. Obviously, he had a lot of growing pains and a lot of errors last year, a lot of brain farts. So I'm looking. I'm glad he's bigger. I'm glad he's stronger. But I'm looking to see if he can man down that hot corner and really solidify his spot in the Mets' future plans.
Now, when you say man down the hot corner, are you talking defensively or offensively speaking, or both?
Again, offensively, he's going to be probably slated seventh, eighth, or ninth in the lineup. I'm not really too concerned about that because again, you've seen those flashes, you've seen that potential at the plate. I'm more concerned about it on the field because you didn't really see that he didn't look comfortable there. You didn't really see flashes at the defensive end as much as you did it at the plate.
Yeah, I mean, for me, going into the year, obviously, both things you have to take into consideration may
Yeah.
be difficult to watch, defensively speaking, and up at the dish, and there's going to be growing pains, as you mentioned. You know, I think for me, when it comes offensively speaking, I want to see the guy get on base. Last year, he posted a 275 on base percentage and nearly
Mm-hmm.
400 plate appearances, right?
And like
So,
strike out less.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Strike out less. I mean, he struck out at a 28% clip last year in the bigs, um, worth only 68 weighted runs created plus. I mean, that's alarming when he was posted 146 weighted runs created plus in AAA
Mm-hmm.
in 26 games before his call up last year. So again, obviously there's a big difference between the minors and the majors, but I need to see those steps. Obviously, I want to see him field his position. I want to see him make a solid throw to Pete Alonso instead of, stretching the polar bear out to his, max.
Yeah.
I want to see him make those routine plays. I want to see him, be efficient on bunts, right? But, offensively speaking, I want to see that growth more so than anything else because if Brett Baty shows what he did last year again, then I think it's kind of telling that we have an issue long term at third base. Right
Mm-hmm.
now, that doesn't mean that Mark Vientos doesn't get some reps at third base and he hits, and then it's Vientos's position until Mauricio comes back, yada yada yada. Right, but I want to see the development from Baty at the dish. And, when you're looking at projections going to this year, Zips normally gives players the most pop. They have them slated to play in 128 games, 523 plate appearances, hitting 19 home runs, driving in 67 runs, worth 102 weighted runs created, plus 2 WAR. Um, the Steamer, so those are probably the two most prolific projection,
Yeah.
outlets you would say. The Steamer has him hitting 15 home runs in 104 games, 50 ribbies, 320 on base percentage, 105 weighted runs created plus, worth 1.5 WAR. So I would I would take those numbers because that's definitely growth. You're seeing the pop, B, you're seeing him get on base. They both have him 320
Mm-hmm.
that on base percentage.
Yeah.
Um, and you're seeing growth both defensively and offensively. I hope we get that because there are other spots that you look at where his on base percentage is hovering around 300 and he's only slated to hit 10 to 11 home runs. So I want to see that growth at the dish. I think it's important to watch him spray the ball because we know that he can naturally spray the ball, but also I want to see him pull some of those down and in, changeups, those down and in fastballs that pitchers are trying to jam him on, and golf them out to right. He didn't necessarily. I can't really think of anything offensively speaking last year that I can really say, wow, he did that really well. You know what I mean? Whether it be going up the middle, the opposite way, pulling the ball. So it's just a big question mark going into 2024. I think third base is in general. Um, the last thing that I wanted to mention about spring training, what the hell are up with the uniforms? What is Nike doing?
I mean, apparently the name on the back of the jersey is smaller.
Dude, it looks essentially the jerseys look like they're built for adults, but
Hmm.
the name is like a youth name. It's like
Yeah,
the name just fits over the number. Uh, you
like a
know,
youth
the
size jersey.
Yeah, youth size jersey, the
Like,
excellent Pulitzer prized writer Tom Gooden, right?
yeah,
Yeah, the
too good. And
the Mets beat troll. He put out a really
Mark, I
funny
think.
photo earlier today where the font was like absolutely minuscule on the back of the uniforms. But it's true, they look so dumb.
Yeah. You
And
know
I
what
don't
it reminds me of, honestly?
what
It
what
reminds me of like those little league jerseys like that we would get for town ball and like we'd have like a
yeah.
sponsor on the back.
Yeah.
It's like Mario's Pizza or like whatever for
Yeah.
sponsors. And it
Yeah.
was just like regular font, so small though, because
Yeah.
it was just little league jerseys, you know?
Yeah. And like, Mendy, that's a good example. Obviously, Mendoza's not like the longest last name in the world, but Mendy's is funny because all the letters are fit together. I just dropped my
Mhm.
pencil. All the letters are fit together very tightly. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't seen like Fujinami yet. That's a name that I want to see. I want to see Shintaro.
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
see some of those names.
And the long last names you talking about?
Yeah, or like I don't know where Bryce Montes de Oca is, but
Mm,
Montes de Oca, like
yeah.
I don't
Well,
know.
even like Christian Scott, that video you sent me, the Christian Scott one, it did look smaller than like it was like over the numbers, really small.
Yeah, they look absolutely ridiculous. I mean,
Yeah,
the hats are cool.
the orange hats.
Yeah, the orange hats are pretty cool. But
Yeah,
we'll talk to Fonz about that, about the jerseys.
we should, yeah.
We should, yeah. Saw him in 7-Eleven,
Nice,
and we talked about doing a collab, so we'll figure that out.
perfect.
Awesome. On to the weekly segment of the Bat DH talk. Not so much to get into. Jorge Soler finally signed 3 years, $42 million. He's heading to the Giants. The Giants get their big bat. Whatever. Enjoy San Francisco. I mean, I think that we all expected uh, him to get a little bit more than that, uh, or $14 million.
Well, he got. I mean, again, I know he got
It's
a
14.
what like he got around what would have been like the Marlins if he opted in, like the
It was
Marlins
14.
would have paid him the money he got.
Yeah, it
14,
was
yeah.
$14 million per year. So
Yeah.
so Soler gets $14 million per year. Obviously, we can all look at each other and say, the Mets should have made a move on that early on in the offseason if that was going to be his price tag. But I think price tags are dropping right now and teams are just picking up, you know, you see some of the guys who signed early on, even bats, and you wonder how they got those type of figures. Then you look at a guy like obviously Soler who only signs for $14 million that can hit 35 plus home runs and nearly drive in 100.
Yeah.
Do you think
A
that was a
lot of
missed
guys still out there though.
Who?
A lot of guys still out there.
Yeah.
A lot of big names.
Do you think that was a missed opportunity by the Mets here with Soler?
I mean, listen, as much as I wanted the Mets to get him and sign him and all of that, 14 million, it sounds like a steal, but again, you gotta understand that we'll see if he actually does hit 30 to 35 home runs. He probably will. I think the Mets are just kind of trying to save for the long run in 2025. Hopefully get re-sign Pete Alonso, but and then get more in 2025 with everything with all that dead money coming off the books. But no, I think right now, obviously, it's a missed opportunity, but again, in the long run, I think we'll be all right.
I think had the Mets known his price tag was going to be $14 million annually and only getting 3 years early on in the offseason before the Mets allocated money elsewhere, I think the Mets would have done it. But at this point in the off season, Matt and I were talking extensively last episode. At this point, whatever the Mets spend, you're essentially slapping a 30% tax on that figure, right? Because the
Yeah.
Mets are exceeding the threshold. So, you know, just like we mentioned when the Blue Jays signed Justin Turner, Turner really would have cost the Mets $30 million. Jorge Soler would have cost the Mets $30 million. A guy like JD Martinez, you said bats are still out there. Is that the bat you're talking about? I mean, he'll still cost the Mets 30 million bucks, but it'll be on a 1 year deal. Would you still entertain that, or do you think that it's just no, it's
No,
not
I
happening?
think the Mets are just set on giving the young guys a chance, and I'm all for that. So
I'm with you. I'm with you. I think that it was tough for me to swallow, especially I don't want to get to it to be like May or June and JD Martinez or someone is slashing elsewhere and the Mets are really missing that bat. We're all looking at each other like crap. It was another missed opportunity. Like we should have added him or this guy
yeah,
or that guy, but which we which we oftentimes do,
a lot of times.
a lot of times. Yeah. My earliest me remembering was when the Mets needed a second baseman
Hmm.
right after when Jose Valentin was falling off and Orlando
Yeah,
Hudson was the name that was being floated around.
yeah.
And such a good hitter, and the Mets just wouldn't go
Orlando
after him.
Hudson. Can I name
Orlando
mine?
Hudson. Huh?
Can I name mine?
Yeah.
When the Mets signed Chris Young, the right fielder, for 1 year, $7 million deal, and Nelson Cruz got the same deal with another team.
Yeah.
And Nelson Cruz had like 50 home runs, and Chris Young like fell off the face of the earth.
Chris Young was dropped, I think, by June
Yeah,
or July, right?
yeah,
Yeah. What a crappy signing that was. I'm changing my vernacular, Rob, from shitty to crappy.
yeah.
Yeah. Um,
I see why. I appreciate that.
100%. 100%.
That's crazy though.
Yeah.
Orlando Hudson. What a name.
Yeah. But listen, I'm excited to watch Mark Vientos over, a full
Hmm.
season,
Me too.
162 game slate.
Me too.
Obviously we've mentioned some of his projected numbers that have come out via Steamer and Zips. Zips has him hitting 22 home runs, driving in 72, 103 weighted runs created plus. That on base percentage could be better at 304. The Steamer, 15 home runs, 45 RBIs, 108 weighted runs created plus, 244 batting average, 310 on base percentage. So it looks like the Steamer, opposed to Zips, is more conservative when it comes to how many games the player is actually going to play and how many at bats.
Yeah.
So their numbers are a little reduced.
Hmm.
Um, but Mark Vientos, I think, is a guy who, if he can shorten his swing a little bit, not strike out as much,
Yeah.
and have a better eye. Obviously, those are all like, wow, if you can do those things, then you're in a really good spot, right? No shit,
Easier said
right?
than done.
Or no crap, whatever.
Yeah.
But you know, I think that if he makes contact, we know that he's going to hit the ball hard. He was If he qualified AB wise, he would be in within one of the top percentiles last year when it comes to hard hit percentage. So Vientos is a guy that I'm optimistic in Mark Vientos if he could shorten his swing, not strike out as much and make more contact. And I think that he could be a really, really solid piece for the Mets.
Yeah, definitely. And again, I loved how SNY or whoever Twitter, all these Twitter guys, they put Vientos' projected numbers and JD's like next to each other for this year, and it's vastly similar.
Yeah.
Obviously JD had a more of a, or I think who was it, Mark or JD that had a better WAR?
It was Mark.
Yeah,
It was mostly Mark because I think that they assumed that he would be getting some reps at third base.
yeah,
So
yeah.
the defense
Playing maybe
also,
playing first.
yeah. So the
All right.
defense
Well, yeah,
also
that's
accounts.
all right. But all in all, I think it's smart, and David Stearns is making us realize that we are a team that is analytically sound, and we're gonna go by projections, and we're gonna give the kid a shot or a chance at a low price, at a team friendly price, opposed to paying that $30 million essentially to a guy who could essentially put up the same numbers.
What type of development are you looking for from Mark Vientos when it comes to just the eye test going into 2024 and looking at his numbers? What are you looking for?
Well, again, I mean, you kind of hit it on the head. You know, he's his right now his position or his spot on the team, or in order to make the team, is to hit the ball. You know, is to work on that swing, shorten up, not strike out as much. Because if you're gonna consistently play DH or consistently hit against left-handed pitchers and be that platoon DH with DJ Stewart, then again, you got to focus on putting the ball in play, being the hitter that you're projected to be. I mean, again, he does smoke the ball every time he makes contact, or when he hits home runs. He smokes the ball. So again, I think if he just gets that 300 to 400 at bats, he'll make something out of it. My projected numbers. You want my projected numbers too?
Yeah, toss him out. Screw it.
I'll go. I'll go. I'm not a big like average guy, but I'll probably go 230 average, but
Okay.
with a solid 19 home runs.
Okay.
Considering he gets the 400 to 450 at bats. If this is again, this all obviously we're not considering the fact that if he sucks in the first 2 months, he'll probably get sent down. All right. But again, in a full course, I think he could again 230 with 19 home runs. And I do like the not the 72 RBIs that was projected, but I do see him hitting 68 RBIs to maybe peaking at 75.
If he could do that, I'm all on board.
Yeah, exactly. And
Especially if
I'm being
he's,
positive about it, you know?
especially if he was, not striking out as much and reaching
Yeah.
base more. That would be an absolute
I do
massive.
like Vientos, man. I really do. I like even when he gets out, he hits the ball hard sometimes.
He's
Like he's not,
dude.
he
He
doesn't,
he he hits the ball hard all the time.
yeah.
Even his outs. Even his outs. The biggest
Um,
the
yeah.
biggest thing for me was 2022, the home run that he hit in Oakland.
hmm
He smoked the ball and it was to the opposite field above the
Yeah,
big.
it was like a high outside pitch.
Yeah, it was a high outside fastball,
Yeah.
and he just ripped it. I think it was 108 miles per hour off the bat. He
Yeah.
just smoked it over the wall and right in Oakland, which is a high fence.
It's like that hitting trajectory that hitting coaches preach now, like hitting the ball hard and at a point where it just rises,
Yeah,
opposed
well,
to hitting it up or hitting it in a line drive,
exactly.
So
Yeah,
again, everyone's hitting philosophy is different, but nowadays it's like that's what they're teaching.
yeah. And I wonder
To
how
not.
many ABs like DJ Stewart's actually going to get at DH. I mean, obviously he's going to be there, but
hmm
I'm wondering if the Mets plan going into the season is like, let's have Mark Vientos face both right and left-handed pitchers.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's all consists of how everyone does in spring training, and again, who stays healthy and who doesn't. DJ Stewart does have a track record of getting hurt. I'm not saying he will, but I do want DJ Stewart to platoon. I would love that, but again, that's what we did last year with Vogelbach and whoever the hell else. So
Darren
again,
Ruth.
yeah. So maybe they just let Mark Vientos rock, like you said, and I'm all for that too.
That's another example. Say the
Mhm.
Mets could have signed so many players last year
I
and
know.
they opted to retain Ruff and then drop him. Um, eh, whatever, whatever. We're done with that. Well, you giving the predictions on Mark Vientos brings us into our next segment, and it's something that I was driving home from work today, and I was like, all right, realistically, there's not much to talk about on the Mets front aside from the few notes here early on in spring training. And then we're going to give our top 10 third basemen as well as a collective top 10 DH list. Um, but I figured that for 1 minute, a timed minute, Rob and I would just kind of go back and forth and ask each other questions where we have to make predictions, whether it be for the remainder of the offseason, spring training into 2024. It can be as little or as bold as possible. Um, so
It's a new
yeah,
segment.
it's a new segment presented by Mamitas. No, I'm kidding. It's Caleb Presley.
That's funny.
No, yeah, but before we get going, remember to use code couple Mets on on
On
SeatGeek.
SeatGeek, get
Yeah,
$20 off.
$20 off your first purchase. Download SeatGeek, get after it. Put
hmm
aside all those other apps, and yeah, again, use code couple Mets, get $20 off. All right, well, listen, I have the timer here. I will go first, so it's rapid fire. So I
All
just said
right.
that weird. I just said that weird, didn't I?
A
It's
little bit, yeah, but we're
it's
good.
it's rapid fire. So um, I just want to think of my first question before I press start, so that I'm not like. wasting time right
Is
off
it
the
back and
bat.
forth or
Oh,
you?
back
Uh,
and forth, rapid fire. I ask you, you answer, you ask me. Okay,
a minute?
a
All
minute,
right, go
a straight minute. All right, ready?
ahead.
Jeff McNeil's batting average in 24.
285. How many games does Starling Marte play?
122.
Okay.
Um, who ends up being the best relief pitcher out of the crop that we have that are question marks?
Ottavino.
Okay.
How many starts does Sevy make? Yep.
24.
Okay.
Do the Mets make the playoffs?
Wild card three.
Ooh,
I do wild card three. How many All Stars for the Mets?
4. Who do you think makes the All-Star team from the Mets?
Senga, Lindor, Alonso, Diaz. How many saves for Diaz?
38 and stop. That was
That
good.
was sick.
I like that.
That was good.
That was good. Clap it up. That was good. I like that.
Yeah.
So again, before we wrap up here, episode 16 of the Hot Stove, we do have our top 10 third basemen and DHs. The DH is a collective list. I'm going to run through that right now. Going into 2024, our top 10 DHs, myself, Robs, and Matt's. Shohei Ohtani, Dodgers, 1. Yordan Alvarez, Astros, 2. Josh Naylor from the Guardians, 3. Anthony Santander, 4. From the Orioles. Kyle Schwarber from the Phillies, 5. Marcell Ozuna from the Braves. I am Ozuna. Jorge Soler from the Giants. Joey Meneses from the Nationals. Christopher Morel from the Cubs. And Mitch Garver from the Mariners. So again, those are our top 10 DHs. Before Rob and I rip off our top 10 third basemen, I am going to dish out Matt's because Matt is currently in San Diego while we freeze our asses off here in New York. He's enjoying San Diego, the same place that he was complaining about going a couple weeks ago. So good for him. His top 10 third basemen at number 10, he has Royce Lewis from the Minnesota Twins. At 9, he has Josh Jung from the Rangers. 7, 8. Oh boy, Matt Chapman, who currently plays for the free agency. 7, Nolan Arenado, Cardinals. 6, Alex Bregman from the Stros. 5, Manny Machado. I don't need to say the teams, you know where they're from. 4, Gunnar Henderson. Well, he's from the Orioles, if you don't know Gunnar. 3,
Yeah.
Mr. Austin Riley. 2, Rafael Devers. And 1, Jose Ramirez. It's a
Wow.
good list.
Wow.
It's a good list.
You guys are gonna get mad at mine.
It's
And I'm
crazy
all
how
for it.
it's crazy how the likes of like Machado and Bregman and Arenado are like falling back.
Yeah.
We're gonna get mad at yours. Why?
Because mine's devious.
Ooh. All right. So then do you want to go first?
No, you got it. Yeah, I'll go first. I'll go first. Always gotta give the host his time, his
All
last save the
right.
best for last list because you always got the top list, I feel like.
No,
But
I don't know. I don't know. We
uh
you and I both got ripped a little bit for putting Lindor number 1 at shortstop.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably because of Corey Seager.
Well, yeah, but Corey Seager had a year last year. But what I was saying last week and what I explained to some people on Instagram, and there were some people that came to my defense, which was cool, is that Seager really I think he came back at the end of May last year or something along those lines. He ended up hitting it 327, did his thing, OPS over 1,000, but he is injured year in and year out. You know what I mean? And
No,
it's he's a question mark. So overall, you look who posts up. It's Lindor. Who has a
yeah.
better all around game, defense, on the bases? You know,
That's why I feel like he gets snubbed all the time for Gold Gloves.
yeah, no,
Last
100%.
three
So
years.
100%. So that's why, if Corey Seager does what he does again, plays 140 plus games, 150 plus games, he's number 1. But for now, it's Lindor. So with that being said, Rob, your top 10 third baseman.
All right. I got number 10, the man with the red beard, Justin Turner. Yes,
Wow.
sir. Yeah, I put him on there. He had a good year last year. Number 10, Justin Turner. Number 9, Tampa Bay Rays, Isaac Paredes. Number 8, Royce Lewis. Number 7, Arenado. Nolan Arenado, if you didn't know that. Number
Oh,
6,
okay.
I got Gunnar Henderson. Number 5, I got Manny Machado. Yep.
Okay.
That one's a hot take, but I got number 5, Manny Machado. Number 4, Alex Bregman. Number 3, Rafael Devers.
I know what you're
Number
doing.
2, I got Jose Ramirez at number
Oh,
1.
you're
This
an
is why I
ass.
said y'all gonna hate me. Number
You're
1, I love this guy. I hate this. The one Brave I actually love, and that's Austin Riley, number 1.
Wait, what did you just say?
Yeah, he breaks, bro.
No, no,
Austin
no, 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 no.
Riley.
I don't care if you say that he rakes, but what did you just say?
What?
The one Brave that I love?
Yeah. Austin Riley. He just pure hitter, bro. Pure hitter. He
Bro,
rakes.
you're not allowed to like any players on the Braves.
What do you mean, bro?
What do you mean?
Dude, don't do that,
What do you mean don't do
yo.
that?
Yo, what?
Bro, in the whatever, dude.
Yo, relax, yo. You like the fact that Chipper Jones called his daughter Shay, yo. It's messed up, bro.
I can
It's
look
basically
back
saying
on
that he
it.
owns us.
Well, yeah, but I can look back. Yeah, but he did it with whatever, Rob. I'm done. I'm done with this conversation. All right. My top 10 third baseman. Here we go. At 10, I have the free agent Matt Chapman. At 9, I have Isaac Paredes from the Tampa Bay Rays. Rob, our 9 through 6 is identical.
All
So
right.
9 is Paredes, 8 is Royce Lewis of the Twins. Really rooting for him. Great story. You and I were talking about it earlier. 7, Nolan Arenado. Crazy that he's at number 7. 6, Gunnar Henderson. The Orioles. 5, I have Alex Bregman, so he flopped there. 4, I have Manny Machado. 3, I have Austin Riley.
Oh,
Austin
boo,
Riley 3.
boo.
2,
You got Rafael Devers too,
I have Rafael Devers.
because you're a Jose Ramirez guy.
I'm not just a Jose Ramirez guy. You just said Riley rakes, Ramirez rakes.
Yeah, he does. And he's
Jose
such a
Ramirez Jose Ramirez does everything. Yeah, he also boxes. Yeah, squaring up Tim Anderson.
he ended Anderson's career, bro.
Yeah, yeah.
Dude, he hasn't signed with anybody.
No, he has not. No, he is not. I feel like
That
he
should
could
take a
be.
flyer, yeah. Why
I feel like
not?
he's a good upside piece for a lot of teams. A really good bounce back candidate.
Why, yo, dude, I'm not even lying, bro. Like, imagine the Mets were just like, hey, Anderson, come play second. We'll move McNeil to right, Marte DH. Like,
Well, I mean, if he doesn't end up signing and Marte is, limping around in right field and, Vientos isn't hitting, you never know what could happen.
that's what I'm saying, dude.
That's what's
Play some
fun
third.
about that's what's fun about the season. You look at the opening whenever the opening day roster is released, you look at that compared to the end season result, and it's
Yeah,
most of the time very different. So, and that could go one or two ways. So we shall see. Something else that I wanted to note, and we don't really have to even talk about this. It's just really nice to see the diversity of the Mets prospects being noticed. But another prospect list was released today, Fangraphs. Um, Drew Gilbert was, according to Fangraphs, the Mets' top prospect. He's number 52 in their top 101. Jet Williams, number 2 at 54. Jeremy Rodriguez, Matt's favorite prospect, who we got from the D-backs for Tommy Pham last year. He's at 96. And Christian Scott makes another list. The tall right-hander, he's at number 98. So good to see some Mets representation in all of those prospect lists. And we will drop our prospect list before the hot stove concludes as well. Rob, any final notes?
no, again, like I said in the beginning, one day closer to Mets baseball. I'm excited. I think this longevity game plan is going to work out in our favor, considering with all the prospects on our, and being noticed, and then again, just trusting in the young guys this year. But again, in David Stearns we trust, in Steve Cohen I trust, and most importantly, definitely use that SeatGeek code. And then again, just hit subscribe, hit like, listen up. Nothing but love. You already know that. Cover Mets, baby. Thanks, Ian. Appreciate you.
There it is. There it is. With that, again, thanks, Rob. Again, use that SeatGeek code. Download the app if you haven't already. Again, that's SeatGeek code Cup of Mets. Get $20 off of your first purchase to either any sporting events or concerts. With that, remember to give us a follow on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok. We're at Cup of Mets. Also, be sure to subscribe to the podcast, whether it be on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And again, as Rob said, one day closer to Mets baseball, one day closer to this hot stove season ending. And yeah, there it is. For Robert Venegas, I'm Ian Bosniak. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Good night, everybody. Take care.